Hi guys, welcome to all CBTs. My name is Faith Badru, and today we are going to be looking at 40 likely NEET biology questions. Sit back and relax. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So today we are going to be looking at 40 standard likely NEET biology questions. So if you are taking the NEET examination, these are 40 standard questions that you might encounter during the examinations. Now the first question we are going to be looking at is, which of the following is not a part of the endomembrane system? Now, for you to answer this question, you need to know the meaning that what is endomembrane. When something is characterized as endomembrane, what does it mean? Now, endomembrane systems, these are systems that are likely and that have tendencies to be involved in protein and lipid synthesis. Now, what are lipids? These are fats and oil. So these are the membranes, or these are the organelles that have something to do with either protein or lipid synthesis in the cell. Now, A, we have the Golgi apparatus. B, we have the lysosome. C, we have the mitochondrion. D, we have the endoplasmic reticulum. Now, this Golgi apparatus is the one that will package the protein and these lipids. They will package it and transport it to wherever it is needed in the cell. Now, this lysosome, they have enzymes. They contain enzymes. Now, these enzymes, they are the ones that will break down these proteins or these lipids. Now, we have mitochondrion. This is we call it the powerhouse of the cell, and this is where respiration occurs in the cell. Now, if you notice, this mitochondrion does not have anything to do with protein or lipids synthesis. Let's look at option D, endoplasmic reticulum. Now, we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum and we have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now, the rough one has to do with protein packaging, while the smooth endoplasmic reticulum has to do with lipid synthesis and packaging. So we know that Golgi apparatus, the lysosome, and the endoplasmic reticulum, they have something to do with protein and lipids. So that is why they are called endomembrane system, except for mitochondrion. So that means that our answer is option C, mitochondrion. Number 2, in humans, the bicuspid valve is present between what? A, right atrium and right ventricle. B, left atrium and left ventricle. C, left ventricle and aorta. D, the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. Now, firstly, you have to know that what is the meaning of valve. What is a valve? Now, a valve, these are systems that allow. Now, the reason why they are there is that they restrict the backflow of blood. Now, normally when blood is flowing, it has tendencies to just go back and retrace itself. But there are structures, and these are called valves. Now, these valves, they decrease the tendency of this blood to flow backwards. So that's why the blood just continue flowing and flowing forward. It's because of these valves. They stop it from going backwards. So that is the meaning of valve. Now, we know that, let's say this is the heart. This is how the heart looks like. Let's say this is our heart. And in this our heart, we know that we have 4 chambers. We have the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right atrium, and the right ventricle. The right atrium and the right ventricle. Now, we know that we have this. Then we have something that separates it, and it's called the septum. Now, between this left atrium and this left ventricle, there is something that separates them, and also between this right atrium and this right ventricle, there is also a valve here. Now, these valves, The one between the left auricle and the left ventricle is called the bicuspid valve. Why? Because it has two. There are two valves there. But when you're talking about the right, now for the right, it is the tricuspid valve. And the reason why it is tricuspid valve because it has three valves and the left has the just two valves. Now our answer is option B, left atrium and left ventricle. Why? Because this is the part that has the bicuspid valve, while the tricuspid valve is found between the right atrium and the right ventricle. That's option B. Number 3, the site of Calvin cycle in chloroplast is what? Now you have to know that what is the Calvin cycle. Now for those that don't know what the Calvin cycle is, now during photosynthesis we have two stages. We have the light stage and we have the dark stage. Now sometimes in some textbooks you might not see it as dark stage. Instead you see it as the Calvin cycle. So most of the time they just want to test you if you know that another name for dark stage of photosynthesis is Calvin cycle. Now so that's asking us that in the dark stage, where is the site that this photosynthesis occurs? Is it the grana? Is it the thylakoid membrane? Is it the stroma? Or is it the outer membrane? Now is it the grana? This grana is also called thylakoid membrane. So you can see that this grana, and they put it in the option, but they are still the same thing. And these two, they are the sites for lights, for the light phase. Now the stroma is for the dark phase. Now the outermost membrane is not a site of photosynthesis. So our answer is option C, the stroma. Number 4, a woman with blood group AB marries a man with blood group O. The possible blood groups of their children are A and B only, B, AB and O only, C, AB and O, D, AB only. Now when you see a question like this, now just know that you are going to cross. Now note that O is always recessive. It is a recessive gene. Now because O is recessive, so you can say that AB will be crossed with O. Now let's cross that together. That is AO. Now this is another AO. Now this is BO. This is another BO. So that means we have AO and BO. Now because O is recessive, we can just put it as A and B. That is option A. Number 5, which plant hormone promotes stomatal closure? Which plant hormone promotes stomatal closure? A, auxin, B, cytokinin, C, gibberellin, D, ABA. Now this ABA is what they call the abscisic acid. It's called the abscisic acid. Now this particular acid, sometimes you might see it as ABA, sometimes they will give you the full. Now if they give you as ABA, they want to test you if you know the abbreviations of these particular hormones. Now auxin is for cell elongation. Now cytokinin is for cell division, while gibberellins, this one are for germination, while the abscisic acid is for stomatal closure. How? And how does it do this stomatal closure? During times when the weather is so hot, for example, let's say there is drought. Now during these particular seasons, during these arid seasons, this abscisic acid, this hormone, will be released in plants. Now this particular hormone, what the function of this hormone, it wants to reduce water loss. Now don't forget that transpiration is the upward loss of water from the plant. Now the way the part by which they lose that water is through the stomata. Now this stomata, most of the times when the weather is cold, when there is a lot of rain, stomata will open very well. But now the stomata has to be closed. Why? So that less water can be lost, so that more water can be retained for that plant to grow. So because of that, this abscisic acid will be released in these plants. So the stomata will now close together. Why? To keep water, to store enough water for their survival. Our answer is option D, the ABA hormone. Number 6, the functional unit of skeletal muscles is what? A. Myofibril, C. Sarcomere, C. Actin, and D. Myosin. Now our answer here is the sarcomere. Why? Now if you see a question like this from the unit of the skeletal muscle, just like how we have the unit of the kidney, which is the nephron, we have the unit, so that's why we have the unit of muscle. So the unit of muscle is the sarcomere. Number 7, the oxygen evolved during photosynthesis is derived from what? A. CO2, B. Water, C. Chlorophyll, and D. ATP. Now they're asking us that during this photosynthesis process, we know the definition of photosynthesis. So this photosynthesis, the oxygen that we know that is the byproduct of photosynthesis, where is it gotten from? Is it gotten from the CO2, the water, the chlorophyll, or the ATP? Before we do that, let's write the equation for photosynthesis. Now we can see that it is the process by which green plants manufacture their food in presence of sunlight, and they give off oxygen as their byproduct. So that is, they need water, that's H2O, they need CO2 that will give us their food, which is C6H12O6 plus oxygen as the byproduct, O2. Then you can balance your equation like this. So they're asking us that this oxygen, where is it gotten from? Is it gotten from water? Is it gotten from CO2? We can say chlorophyll, sunlight. Is it gotten from chlorophyll? Is it gotten from the glucose? Where is it gotten from? Now, this oxygen that is the byproduct of this photosynthesis process is gotten from water. And how does this happen? Now, during the light stage of photosynthesis, something happens. Now, the reason why this process needs sunlight is because this sunlight is a form of energy. Now, the electrons that are in this water, when it gets this energy from the sunlight, this water, it will split into two. Water will split into two and will give us H plus O2 minus. Now when they split, this oxygen that has been gotten here after the splitting is what will now be given off at the end of the process. So we can say that the oxygen evolved during photosynthesis is derived from water. Number 8, which scientist gave the chromosome theory of inheritance? A. Darwin and Wallace, B. Sutton and Boveri, C. Watson and Crick, D. Morgan and Mendel. Now Darwin and Wallace, they gave evolution. Now Sutton and Boveri, they are the ones that gave us the chromosome theory of inheritance. Watson and Crick also. Morgan and Mendel. Now Morgan and Mendel, they did not actually work together. So this narrows our answer to option B, Sutton and Boveri. They are the ones that came up with the theory of chromosomes of inheritance. Number 9, the first phase of mitosis is what? Now, how do we arrange these phases of mitosis? Now, there's a shortcut you can use. That is PMAT. Now, P is for prophase, M is for metaphase, A is for anaphase and T is for telophase. So in this question, we are being asked that. So if you are asked that, what is the first stage? It is the prophase. Second stage is the metaphase. Third stage is the anaphase. Fourth stage is the telophase. Now this question, we are being asked for the first phase. Now according to what we wrote here, prophase is the first stage. That's option C. Number 10, in nephron, maximum reabsorption occurs in the what? A, the distal convoluted tubule. DCT means the distal convoluted tubule. The distal convoluted tubule. The PCT means the proximal convoluted tubule. C, we have the loop of Henle's, while D, we have collecting duct. Now, if you want to draw your nephron, it will look like something like this. Then they will tell you that, oh, this is the then to go up again like this to give you something like this, then to your collecting duct. Now they will tell you that this is your the Bowman's capsule. Now the Bowman's capsule is going to collect filtrates from the glomerulus. Then it will now flow into this is the PCT, the proximal convoluted tubule. And difference between is just English. Proximal means when something is first at proxy, while distal means that it is at the back. So in case you are confused, just know that proximal means first, distal means last. So when I'm saying proximal convoluted tubule, that means that's the first coily part that you see, while the distal is the second and last coily tubule that you actually see in your nephron. Now it will now flow to this your proximal. Now this proximal, something happens in this proximal convoluted tubule, and that is selective reabsorption. Now this selective reabsorption, things like glucose, amino acids, salt, water, ions, everything will be reabsorbed from this particular PCT. When you now get to the loop of Henle, only water and salt will be reabsorbed, while in the distal, only ions will be absorbed again. So for what we said, between this PCT, this loop of Henle and this distal convoluted tubule, the one that will absorb the maximum is the proximal convoluted tubule, because it's going to absorb glucose, amino acid, fats, minerals, vitamins, different kinds of things. So our answer is option B, the proximal convoluted tubule. Number 11, the male reproductive part of a flower is called the stamen, and it consists of the anther and the filaments. While the female part is the pistil, it contains the ovary, the ovule. Number 12, which vitamin deficiency causes night blindness? A, vitamin A, B, vitamin B12, C, vitamin C, D, vitamin K. Now vitamin A, the use of you have to know the use of these particular vitamins for you to know the deficiency, because if you don't know the use, you cannot know the deficiency. Now what is the use of vitamin A? Vitamin A is used for eyesight and immunity. Now vitamin B12 is used for the clotting of blood. Vitamin C, this is good for skin or collagen production. Now vitamin K, this one is good for fertility. So now we can know, since we know the uses of this vitamin, we can now say their deficiency. Now since vitamin A is eyesight and immunity, we can say that if you don't eat or if you don't take vitamin A, it can cause blindness. Now, vitamin B12, clotting of blood. Deficiency will be anemia. That is the lack of the blood to clot. Anemia. Now, vitamin C, the skin or collagen production. If you don't take vitamin C, you have scurvy, because scurvy is a skin disease that is caused for lack of vitamin C. Now, you have vitamin K, fertility. Deficiency will be infertility. So with this, and in our question, we have night blindness. So the one that has to do with blindness is vitamin A. That's our option, our answer. Number 13, the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower is what? Gaetogamy, xenogamy, autogamy, or hybridization. Now we have to analyze these questions. Now some of us, we only know that, okay, we have two types of pollination. We have the self and the cross, but it goes more than just self and cross, because self will tell you that self is when it is just the same flower or to the same flower in a plant, while cross is to another flower but of the same species. That is what self and cross pollination will tell you. But we can now still go deeper and see things like gaetonogamy, xenogamy, autogamy, and hybridization. Now, in this question, they said that of the same flower, Now, this gaetonogamy, now this one is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma of the same flower, of the same plant but different flowers. Same plants but different flowers. So that means on that plant, so there are different flowers on the plant. So let's say the pollen grains, or maybe one of the flowers that are up above, the pollen grains just drops, maybe because of rain or something like that. So it just drops to the one below that same plant. So that is what we call gaetonogamy. Now we have xenogamy. Now this xenogamy is different plants, is flowers from different plants but same species. Now this xenogamy can be likened to cross pollination. Now we now have autogamy. This autogamy is the same plant and same flower. So that means in just only one flower, the stamen or the pollen grains of that particular flower is fertilizing that same flower. And that is what we have in our question, and the answer is option C, autogamy. Hybridization is of two different species, but it is man-made. It is man-engineered. Number 14, which blood vessel carries the oxygenated blood? Now the coronary artery. Now this is the artery that carries blood into the heart muscles, and they carry oxygenated blood to heart muscles. Then we have the aorta. Now this is the main artery that is in the body. Now this aorta is the one that carries oxygenated blood into different parts of the body. Then we have the pulmonary vein. Now some of you might make a mistake, because you know that artery is meant to carry oxygenated blood, vein is meant to carry deoxygenated blood. But note that the pulmonary vein is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood. The remaining one, they carry deoxygenated. While for pulmonary artery is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood instead of oxygenated blood. And why is that? Because this pulmonary artery, it will take deoxygenated blood into the lungs. Then the lungs, don't forget that the artery is meant to carry blood to something. But because of, at the point that which this pulmonary artery is carrying that blood, it does not yet have oxygen there. So that is the reason why it is the only artery that carries the oxygenated blood. So when it carries that blood to the lungs, from there diffusion will occur. Then the vein will now carry the oxygenated blood, the one that there's already oxygen there, to now carry it back to the heart, and it will now be pumped out through the aorta. So our answer here is option A. The pulmonary artery is the one that carries the oxygenated blood. Number 15. The chief nitrogenous waste in humans is what? A. Ammonia, B. Uric acid, C. Urea, and D. Creatinine. Now the answer is urea, because we excrete what is called urine. Now this urine is the combination of urea, that is the nitrogenous waste found in humans, plus salt plus water. Our answer is option C, urea. Number 16. The process of the RNA synthesis from DNA is what? A. Translation, B. Transcription, C. Replication, and D. Mutation. Now from RNA to DNA is called transcription. While from DNA to proteins, that's what is now called translation. So our answer here is option A. Option B, transcription. Number 17. The chromosome number in a human zygote is what? A 23, B 46, C 22, D 44. Now when you are looking at your chromosome, now the chromosome is made up of a human zygote is made up of two gametes, which are the male gametes and the female gametes. During fertilization, that's what is going to give you the zygote. Now normally the male gamete contains 23 chromosomes, while the female gamete also contains 23 chromosomes. Now but because a zygote, being a zygote, it's going to have the sum of this male and sum of this female. That's going to be 23 plus 23, and that will now give us 46 chromosomes in that zygote. That's option B. Number 18. Which tissue conducts water in plants? A. Phloem, B. Xylem, C. cortex, and D. epidermis. Now the phloem conducts food, the xylem conducts water, cortex is for support, and epidermis does not conduct anything. It just protects the outer layer. It's the outer layer that protects the endodermis, that's the inner layer of plants. Now in this question we ask for the one that conducts water. Now that is option B, xylem. Number 19. The enzyme pepsin acts on what? A. Carbohydrate, B. Fat, C. Proteins, D. Nucleic acids. Now this pepsin is an enzyme. Now this enzyme is found where? It's found in the stomach. Now in the stomach, now since you know that it's found in the stomach, then you should know that automatically we're talking about a protein. Why? Because it's mostly only proteins that are being digested in the stomach. Now in the stomach we have, from the pancreatic juice, we have some enzymes that are called pepsin. We have renin. Now this pepsin is the one that digests protein, while renin will digest milk, because it's the coagulation of milk. Now our answer here is option C, proteins, because pepsins, they are the ones that digest proteins by converting these proteins to peptides. Number 20. The study of interactions between organisms and environment is A. Taxonomy, B. Ecology. C. Anatomy. D. Morphology. Now, taxonomy is just like the naming, is the naming of organisms. It does not have anything to do with the interaction between organisms. Now, ecology, this is the interaction of living things and non-living things in a particular environment. Anatomy is talking about the makeup of a particular organism. Morphology is looking at how a particular organism looks, is structured. Now, from this particular definition, our answer is ecology, because it is the interaction between organisms and their environment, or we can say it's the interaction between the biotic factors and the abiotic factors.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the video you just watched. To see more content as that, preparing you for your upcoming exam, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on notification. Also, remember that you can use the comment section to send us your questions or your inquiries, and we are happy to take them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.